I hated that coming into this, there was a lot of people who treated you like, oh, if you didn't know this, you were fucking shit. Like, okay, I don't know this. Explain it to me so that I can fucking know. Oh,
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the Star Galactic fucking manual when I came in here. You know what I mean? Like,
That was that was me. I came into a Reiki class of 6 people,
mhm,
right? It was a we all went to this master's house, and we would be there all day. She'd serve us lunch, and we'd chit chat over lunch about what we were learning and whatever. And they're always talking about positive energy and negative energy, and I'm like I'm watching a tennis match. I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? I didn't know anything. The way I came into Reiki
mhm,
was through extreme heartbreak.
mm,
I was like, I had never had love really before, not romantic love. The husband, no, that was complete use of manipulation.
right.
And this was afterwards. And he broke up that situation. He made it so that we couldn't be together. That's a whole nother podcast, but it had to
Right.
do with the man's child. And I understood that. But I hurt so bad. And I just about balled up and died. I just stayed in bed all the time.
Mm,
So a friend of mine who was about to take this class came and got me and said, I'm going to take you to Penny and she's going to do Reiki on you. And I'm like, oh, do I have to take my clothes off? No. Oh, okay, I guess. And that's how it got started. I knew nothing about Reiki, and
right.
I knew nothing about energy and exchanges and universe and what the hell are they talking about?
Right.
Ascended masters. What the fuck?
Right. Right. How hard is it
That's
to just
why I
fucking
stayed.
it's like, how hard is it to take a moment and you see someone who looks confused as fuck? How hard is it to take a moment and be like, "Hey, do you understand the conversation? Are you getting what I mean?"
No.
No.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
You
stuck with
know,
it.
just like people would tell me in the beginning of my path, "Oh, you need to do self-love. You need to do self-love." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you saying?" I go get my nails done. I do this, and it's like, "What the fuck is self-love?" And
Yeah.
people don't go the extra mile to tell you, "Oh, wait, remember that book you've been wanting to read for 3 years that's sitting on the shelf? Maybe take time to do that. That's self-love. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, getting up and cooking that breakfast that you've always been talking about. Oh, getting up a little bit earlier to make yourself breakfast. That's self-love." It's like people don't go that extra mile to give
Mm-hmm.
you more. It's like, "Oh, you need to heal."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What the fuck do I need to heal if I don't know what the fuck it is? You know?
Mm-hmm.
It was crazy because I came across a healer, in the beginning of 2021. I can't remember if I met her at the end of 2020 or the beginning of 2021, but I did a theta healing session with her. And she was the one that made me realize in that session that we actually did it January of 2021. So I met her somewhere around there. But she's the one who actually got me to realize to ask myself the simple questions to get the answers of what the fuck I needed, right? And that to trust what was coming up. And it was so simple to just ask. First thing that came up, it was like, holy shit. Like, you mean to tell me that that's how easy this shit is? But no one tells
Mm-hmm.
you that. It's like, we got all these secrets.
No,
You got to come to me for all the secrets. And it's like, fucking, and can you give me anything that will fucking help my path without charging me a fucking arm?
without a dollar sign attached to it.
I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
a simple direction of something. Not saying, because I tell people all the time, like, you need to get a session. There's a lot of people I can fucking refer you outside of myself. There's a lot of shit I can't do. So I can refer you, but
Mm-hmm.
do something. Pick, where do you want to fucking start? But in the beginning of my path, no one had those answers. And it was so
No.
irritating that you're just kind of left out here unless you want to pay to mentor under some fucking, person who thinks they're, Buddha and
Mm-hmm.
shit. And it's just
And
like,
my path, yours began what, 3 years ago or
yeah,
a little more?
20,
Mine was more than 20 years ago. So it
yeah,
was different back then too, you know?
yeah. Hell yeah.
And going back to the self love thing, I found that self love and shadow work go hand in hand. They
Yes.
kind of feed off each other.
Yes. And no one explains shadow work either. That was another one where I was like, what the fuck is shadow work? People are,
Yeah.
yeah, you gotta do shadow work. Can you explain this to me at all? Oh, it's this. And the way people explain it to me, I was like, this don't even sound right. And then most people think it's some demonic shit when you say shadow work, it's dark, it's negative, and it's like, no. And
Mhm.
some people think it's like you have to work through this shit. And I'm like, wait a minute. From what I understand and took from it, and this is why I teach shadow work now, because I think a lot of people do it wrong. I'm sorry. When I think people do it
Yeah.
wrong, I spirit inspires me to create some shit, right? It's about loving those pieces of you that you have been like beat
Mhm.
down to believe is wrong. Because
Mhm.
just because you're angry doesn't mean you're wrong. Does just because you were envious in this moment doesn't mean you're wrong. We're meant to feel all
Right.
this shit. All of this shit is natural shit we're meant to feel. It's to get past you thinking it's a bad thing because you've been beat.
Mhm.
Now we've all done some shit, not so
Yeah.
nice stuff in our lives, you know?
Most of it is just bringing it to the surface and looking at it and recognizing it
Right.
and passing it on, not lingering in it, and
Right.
learning not to linger in things like that.
You gotta love
It's
that
as
piece
simple
of
as
you.
that.
You have to love that side of you. You
Yeah.
cannot hate that side of you that went through whatever it is that's in that shadow. And I think people miss that bar when they're teaching shadow
Mhm.
work. They're not telling you that it's about loving that side of you also. Goes back to love, right? Everything goes back to that love and compassion to self.
Mhm.
And a lot of people miss that word because in the beginning it was like, oh, you need to love yourself, right? You need to show yourself compassion. And it's crazy because in the beginning of my path, the first goddess that connected with me was Kuan Yin, and she's a Buddhist
Me
goddess.
too.
Beautiful. I love her. She was the first one that connected with me because I needed that compassion. I didn't understand what compassion was at all. And I remember this one, I worked with Cynthia Glickman, and she's a phenomenal healer. And she was like, you have to, show this love to yourself. And I was like, I ended up asking her one day, like, how the fuck do you love yourself when you've probably never had love, true love in your life? And it
Mhm.
was just like it had hit me, this epiphany of I'm trying to figure something out that I've never felt before. And she was like,
Yeah.
you need to find a space that you I was like, I can't, I don't have that space. And we had to work through that because it was real. I was someone who had never truly experienced that love, that receiving love in my life. So you
Mhm.
can't pull it from nowhere if you've never had it, you know? So it was pretty trippy. Um, People don't explain the shit. You're just kind of like,
No.
okay, let me go find what compassion is. Let me go
Yeah.
figure out what the fuck this is. And then having to, in those moments, being so angry with myself, sending myself that love. But if you don't have the proper person to show you and tell you and work through it, you're just lost. You're just out here fucking lost, trying to figure out shit and hating yourself the whole step of the way. You're just hating yourself more and you're going, and I think that's the problem. It's like no one's explaining what this is. Like Dark Night of the Soul. What the fuck is that? you know? You hear
Yeah.
people like, "Oh
Oh
my god, I
gosh.
went through Dark Night of Soul and it's horrible," and I'm like, "What? I don't ever want it." But someone like, I don't need it.
No. No, oh my gosh, they had me terrified of it.
It's like, "No, you guys can keep your Dark Night of the Soul. I don't need it." Now, I've gone through ego death, which is a bitch. I've gotten through a lot of ego deaths, which I just call it identity shedding. To
Mm,
put my spin
yeah.
on it, I've called it identity shed. It's hard. It's hard to shed a past version of yourself that's still trying to hold on out of
Yeah.
fear of where you're going. It's a very harsh process. But when you say ego death too, it's like, wait, what?
Yeah, anything you
Real,
say with death is scary to people.
like real
Uh,
shit. I'm like, ego death.
you need to throw a disclaimer in there when you use that term, you know? You're scaring people, folks.
Right. I'm like, well, damn. And from what I've come to learn, it's not that it's actually because if your ego dies, you die. Okay. Your ego is here to stay. The ego is not going. Everyone has this very negative background on ego, what ego is. And it's like, well, you wouldn't be here without the fucking ego. The ego is actually doing its job, right? And no one explains that. Your ego is doing what it's programmed to fucking do. But you got to go with your higher self and push outside of that box that your ego is putting you in because ego works out of what? Fear, shit that we've been through, shit it knows in this identity where your higher self has the shit from past life. No one's fucking explaining this shit though. You s- you
No.
have, you have to have an ego death. Excuse me?
No.
Wait, what? I got to do what?
Um, uh,
What crystal is that?
is this
I,
by sword or do I get shot?
Like, what like, what the fuck is this? So I think that's more of where I wanna stay in being someone that people can find and people spirit kind of brings people to me to so that they can get some type of information to assist them. I don't try to tell people what they're supposed to do though, and I think that too of letting people know people who are telling you what you need to do, like, you're a witch and you need to go and get herbs and go buy a book. I kind of feel like that defeats your whole like place where you are. You're meant to experience, right, and find it. And I think when you got a lot of people telling you, it's one thing to say, I feel you're a little bit gifted, or I feel, you know what I mean? Like you kind of pick up
Mhm.
on some things and spirit will kind of tell you some things to say. But I think it's very different to start telling someone who they are. Um, oh, you're a star
Yeah,
seed, or
no.
you're, you know what I mean? You came from this fucking
Yeah.
star family and you need to go search these people out. And I think that's a little bit much. I don't know if that's an ego thing also, but
For me, I don't really like to put handles on things,
mm,
you know? Well, I have a tendency towards herbal medicine. I I dabble in a few little spell type of thingies, but I don't really think I'm a witch or an herbalist. I mean,
right,
and then there's a correlation between the two of them. They both
right,
work with herbs.
right,
So
right.
yeah, I don't do a lot of handles. I guess that's why I say I'm a person who does healing work with an eclectic grouping of things
Right,
that I use.
right. Got a bunch of shit in the bag that I can use if I want. Bunch of tools.
That's right.
Yeah,
Don't ask me ahead of time what I'm going to use because I don't know.
I've never liked the having to put myself in a box either. I think that's been the other thing for me is not ever wanting to be in somebody's box of who they think I am. And I push to learn just multiple shit because I'm like, why do I just need to do tarot? Like why can't I learn this? Why can't I
Mhm.
open this or why can't I go down this path and have this? And I have a bunch of shit under my belt now, but it's like, why not? Why do I
Yeah.
gotta stay in this? I've been a rebel like that though too. I'm like, yeah, no, I never liked the witch, you know what I mean? Or just this
Hmm.
psychic healer. I'm like, "Yeah, no, I like energy healer better. I'm gonna go with that."
Hmm. Hmm.
That. And then you can ask me, "What does that mean?" And I'm like, "Okay, let me break some stuff down for you," you know? It's like,
And also, that way too, you're not putting people in a certain mindset.
as soon as you say psychic, it's like read my fortune and shit. And it's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not giving you the lotto numbers."
Why not?
Hello.
What kind of
No, I'm not.
psychic are you?
Right. It's like soon as you say psychic, the whole fucking conversation. And I swear, I have said that. And because when I say energy healer, they're like, oh my God, what is that? And then I have to kind of explain. And as soon as you say anything with like medium, tarot, and they're like, oh, like Miss Cleo, like that's the shit you get. It's like, well, sure,
Really?
Miss Cleo. We'll just leave it there since that's where your knowledge goes. I'm not even gonna go there. Like, you know what I mean? It's
Oh.
just like, yeah, we're not gonna go there. But it is. That's why I don't use the term psychic. It's been so just deemed and it's got this fucking whole background to it. And not that I'm ashamed to be in that level of psychic. I am very psychic. There's a lot of shit I tap into and can see and feel, but I just refuse to have that as part of my title. I'm like, just like I at some point was like, fuck that witch shit. You guys have demonized witch for too long. I'm not
Mhm.
I'm not going to be in the category of witch. I'm a ritualist. I love rituals and I can help people find how to have their own rituals if they want to. Um but staying to these terms has just been something I've moved away from.
That
Even
might be
though
something I'll work with you. I'd like to work with rituals.
right, and I love it, I still do them. I do have my code of ethics, though a lot of people don't, I have a code of ethics of doing no harm. I do no harm in anything that I
Mhm.
do as far as rituals, and part of what I say is, if it is, part of that greater good, I have a clause like that. If it's within their divine plan, then of course the teams are gonna work to kind of create the energy. If it's not a part of the plan and it's not for that greater good, it's not going to happen. And I've stayed to that. And I've had some people that don't get their way of what they're trying to ask for, and I do explain it though. You have to understand, if it's not for you, it's not for you. I can't create
Yeah.
the energy for you to have everything that you want. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? I don't do anything besides open a channel for your team. And this is what I have to explain to people. I'm not asking my team to do shit, but open the channel to get your team on board to see how they
Mhm.
can assist you on what you're asking for. And I think a lot of people don't understand that, and they don't tell that. People are just used to, oh, you want this? Oh, pay this and I got you. And I'm not taking people's karma. I'm not opening up those doors. I'm not asking my fucking team to do anything for you. I'm not owing favors to my team for you. I'm asking your team to step up. And if it's in your divine plan, oh yeah, let's move some hate, let's move some negative shit that's in your way, let's work on that,
Mhm.
give you a boost of energy or whatever it is. But I think people don't understand that, and I've had a lot of, I don't want to say I've had a lot of flack, but I have had some people that are of not been happy because of that, and I don't care. It's like, I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to take on, because that you have
Mhm.
to, what you give is what you get, right? What you put out is what
Right.
you get in return. And I think you got to be conscious about that always in this path, no matter
And
what.
you have to learn not to force things.
Hell yeah, I ain't forcing shit. Not for a price tag. I'm not even forcing shit for free. I definitely ain't
Yeah.
forcing it for a price tag.
I try so hard to go ahead confidently, but not forcefully.
Right, right, right. Because sometimes you got to realize that this may not be for you. You know what I mean? And there's
Mhm.
certain ways, especially when you're doing rituals, there's certain ways the candle burns and stuff like that when you're watching it, right? When the candle goes out, if it stops burning, there's certain things, the way it burns, you kind of can look and tell after so many times of doing it that it's like, oh yeah, the feeling you get when you're watching it, you're like, oh yeah, no, yeah, this is not going to go the way you want it to,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
learning how to read the wax and things like that, and just allowing the intuition to guide you, or spirit to guide you in the
Yeah. See,
message.
that fascinates me.
Yeah, and that's the reason why I started to get into it. Once I got past my fear, I started to get into it because of the way when you would see it burning and the wax and just the messages that would come out, and I would tell someone, do you got this or that? And they'd be like, holy shit, how do you see that? You see that in the wax? And I'm like, well, that's what they told me. And
Yeah.
it's really that easy of just listening, allowing the information to flow through you, and not being afraid to ask the person, does any of this make sense to you? And they'll tell you. I had a person, I did a healing candle. I do more healing candles than I do rituals for everyone, because that's the biggest thing I kind of work with. So this person, I did a healing candle, and recently they had lost their animal, their dog. And in the wax there was this kind of like blue, it looked like a little doll or something. I was like, did you have a toy or something when you were young? And there was this red and blue. I had picked intuitively, I picked the red and the blue candle. And so the red and the blue kind of made this like face and looked like some toy. And she was like, oh my God, my dog, the favorite toy of my dog is red and blue. It's a blue and red toy. And
Uh,
she was like, she still had it. And I was just like, oh, your dog is coming through. And that you're, because the animal spirits are around us all the time too. So it was just a
mhm.
beautiful thing. And she was like, oh my God, you don't know how much I needed this message right now. And I was just like, it comes when it comes. It's, you know what I mean? Like, that's the beauty of it. But just kind of studying it. And some people go off of like this old school reading wax and shit. I tell everyone everything I do is intuitive. I don't go by a piece of paper that tells me if the wax is this, it's that. I don't do that. Even egg cleansing, I don't go based on the bullshit that people say. Because if you went off the bullshit, you'd be hexed and cursed on every fucking egg that comes off, right?
Yeah.
Intuitively, I just kind of look at it and see what I'm feeling, what's coming out, and kind of go based on that. And I've been very accurate with that as well. And I think that's the biggest for me is empowering people to get into that gut, to get into that instinct, to get into that intuition, and trust what you're being told. You know what I mean? Trust what you're
Yeah.
hearing, because that's the beauty part. The magic is happening around you. You just have to allow it to kind of come in. That's why I love rituals. I don't do as many because I was doing my moon goddess club, but I had to shut that down. I had way too much shit going on.
Uh,
This year it's been about letting go a lot of shit and just refocusing my energy to wherever spirit is taking us. It's a different we're going somewhere different for 2023. I don't know yet. I keep saying I don't know yet, but we'll see. We'll see. So yeah, I might start something. I don't know when on the ritual because I remember when I first started, I had a class, a spellcasters class. I love to teach. I love to teach shit. That's my thing. But I don't know yet how I'll do it. I might just I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But all right. I know we're way past an hour, but thank you so much again for just coming on here and just chopping it up on some real ass shit. As always, I got so much love for you. I'm over here just rooting for you, watching you grow, and I can't wait to see all the shit that you do. Definitely, soon as one of those books are done, we definitely have to talk about it. And I will be one of the first people fucking promoting your shit because I think we can all support each other and grow in this life. And
Absolutely.
I definitely don't feel any connection is coincidence. This is all
No,
pre-planned shit, right?
you're part of my soul family.
Like real shit, real shit. So I'm just like just seeing your name on the screen and I'm just loving it. I fucking love it. Like you guys listening don't even know, like just to see her on here. It's an
Yeah,
awesome.
I know. I'm trying to sneak into there because of my medical stuff, and there you are. Like, I'm not here
Like
with a big grin on my mouth.
we're we're
uh,
we're going slowly but surely.
yeah,
All right, you guys, that's what I got for you. Again, I will have some contact information for her in the links or wherever you're listening. If you're listening, if you see the clip on YouTube, it'll be a short clip on YouTube. I never put the full thing on YouTube. But as always, you guys, sending you guys so much love, so much light. Until next time. Bye.